Quicksilver is a 2024 romantasy novel by American author Callie Hart. Hart has written over a dozen dark romance novels. Quicksilver was her first romantasy debut. It's the first in a series, and obviously we just had the second one come out not even a week ago. And it is supposed to be a longer series. First of all, your general impressions. What would you rate it for stars? I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great, but it wasn't anything different for the romantasy genre. I feel like had I read this several years ago, maybe before Fourth Wing or Serpent in the Wings of Night or a couple of my other favorites, I think it would have been higher for me. But there were so many nods to the other novels, and the biggest one that I feel like it took a lot of inspiration from was from Blood and Ash. So it didn't exactly blow me out of the water. There were definitely some moments where I was like, oh, okay, this was a pleasant surprise. I did enjoy it. I think I enjoyed the characters more than the story itself for me. We got a lot of 4, 5, 4.5, yeah. Me too, Bluebell. I totally agree. It missed that sometimes undefining thing for me to give it 5+ stars. I think a lot of times for me, something that is 5+ stars is me seeing myself in the characters, and I didn't really get that in this book. And there also was moments of repetition, but I truly think the saving grace for me for the book was Kingfisher. I loved him. I loved everything about Kingfisher. How he spoke, how he reacted, how he was at the end. Saris, for the most part, was an FMC that didn't irritate me, and I find that sometimes I am irritated by our women in the novels. Feyre. So I did really like the characters a lot. So fair, Steph. That's so cool, though. 4.25. Yeah. KW, did you? Yeah, I didn't like his name. For sure. Me too. I wish we got some more out of the side characters, too. I think it would have been really neat. And again, going into Brimstone being out, maybe that's something that we're going to see. I haven't started it yet, so I obviously can't speak about that. Question number 2, chat. Did you find the author's writing style easy to read or hard to read? Why? And how long did it take you to get into the book? So there's a couple of different questions within this question. I thought the writing style was very easy. I didn't have a problem with the writing itself. I had a little bit of a difficult time with the world building where we first started off, more so than some other romantasy novels that I had read previously. There was a slow build-up for me. I think it wasn't the writing per se, but it was the pacing. And up until maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40%, I finally got like sucked in. There were parts that were needed, but I found it a little boring in the beginning. And I think this was part of my issue where I stopped. It was a soft DNF for me before. I just couldn't get into it. This time, it was a lot better, obviously. What about y'all? Let me know. I loved Carrion. Oh my God. I'm going to talk about that too. Hi, Tabby Cat. Welcome, welcome. The middle was easy. Yeah. The writing style drew you in. Me too. Yeah. And I know sci-fi and fantasy and romantasy will do this where they will drop you in. So it's hard for me to be like, I didn't like that, because other books it worked. But I don't know if Callie Hart did it in the best of her abilities. Writing is a craft, right? And up until this point, she was just writing dark romance. So this was the first time she had to do world building. And I think later on in the novel, it clicks, but the beginning was a little bit rough with that. Yeah, totally, Pepper. After Fisher got introduced, you were hooked for sure. But it gives other series, yeah. Didn't hook you straight away. Yeah, easy, quick read for you. Tabby Cat, welcome on in. How are you doing? Yes, oh my God, if you have not read the audiobook, I highly, highly recommend it. It's dual voice acted. Incredible. Incredible. The immersion read was such a fun time for me. And part of me is like, would I have rated it lower if I didn't have the immersion read? I don't know. I found the magic system in Quicksilver itself to be underdeveloped, which was annoying because I thought it was unique. Yeah! I'm along the same lines of that. I feel like there was so much more that could have been done. But again, maybe it does get expanded on in the second book, right? Able to go to different wards and things the last 25% was weird. Could have used that information earlier. Yeah. Or like even getting to the point where she visited the gods and they're like, we tried to prevent this and we're not gonna have a hand in it before. And it's like, but you didn't really have a hand in it previously. Like, why is this mattering now? It felt like filler to me. That was a big thing. We're not there. So it's like, I feel like was missing. There wasn't a big gas moment for me. Yeah. And even when the big reveal happened about the siblings together, right? I was like, well, yeah. Did I immediately think of that? No, but I wasn't surprised at it either. Because, I mean, if you're naming all these characters and you're naming evil characters, right? They were bound to come back up at the end. That part was not a surprise for me. The audio's so good. Nothing jaw-dropping. Yeah. Whole cast for the reading. Sloan from Butcher and Blackbird. I still haven't read that. I'd love to make that one of our books for next year. Yeah, I'm not like other girls. Here's all my trauma. Hi, Forestly Faye. Yeah. Like, yeah, well, they're connected. They're all basically heads of their respective kingdoms. The siblings dropped. I was like, oh? Madra never ate. Exactly. Yeah. Like, that was already a, hello, here's a giant red flag. The spice was spicing in this. That was nice. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. I thought it was just the amount. Just the amount for this book. Oh my God, I know. Anthony Palmini. Yep. No, I love that too. I love that too. And I love that for you. I had a good time with it. I really did. Yeah. Because you know what I mean, right? There are some, I don't think that any book necessarily needs to have spice, okay? But with that being said, sometimes it's more like ACOTAR, where it's like one spicy pepper. There's some things listed, but it's mostly fade to black. And then you have some where it's like every other page is something. And not to yuck anybody's yum, that's not for me personally. I need plot first, spice second. I don't want it to be in my face, pun intended. So I thought it was a beautiful amount. It was done so really great. There were moments too where it was really like interconnected with the characters. And I loved like the tattoo aspect of it too. Rush to read Brimstone, yeah. If I did not have my book club for it, I think I would hold off. Hi, Slipknot Fairy. That matters to me. Yes, totally, Caitlin, totally. Sprinkles on top. Yeah. SMG, hi. Thanks for the lurk. The tattoo thing was really cool. I have not read something that incorporates it much like that. Like, yes, I've seen tattoos before, but not morphing and shifting and going on to other people. I thought that was really neat. Question number 3. Who was your favorite character? Okay, outside of Kingfisher, I don't know if this is going to be a popular or unpopular opinion. I freaking loved Carrion. He was the comedic relief. And then at the end, where he was like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm Faye. I've had women taking care of me all my life." And Sarah's is like, "The fuck?" Like, that was a surprise to me. More so than some of the other reveals. Onyx the fox. The fox was so cute. Ren was awesome. Ren and Carrion. That's how I feel too. Yeah. Oh, the warrior that got the magic sword. I can't remember his name. That's not Ren. Ren is our Scotsman. The one that got the magic sword. I liked him too. I can't think of his name right now. Lorith. Thank you. Lorith. Hi, Lauren, by the way. Hello. Is there a character that y'all identified with the most? In this novel, no. And that doesn't mean that I didn't have a good time with it. But, I definitely felt like on the outside looking in, there have been other novels where I feel very reflected in the characters, and that was not an instance for me. And again, that doesn't mean it was bad. I just didn't see it. Oh, yeah, the guy from the library. He was funny. Him and his dry-ass crackers. You felt that Danya was justified for being upset about her sword? She was basically like a loose... She had a lot of anger issues. I didn't hate her, but I kind of feel like you did. Where this was her pride and joy. But I also don't think that she understood about the quicksilver. Like, she didn't have that connection, you know? Were there any characters that you disliked? I mean, yeah, the 3 siblings. I feel like I hated the king the most because of what he was putting Everlane through, where he's basically like, well, she's my daughter, so if I need to do X, Y, and Z for the cause, I'm gonna do that. Like, psh, women having rights? Not in my lifetime, baby. So I feel like I hated him the most because I really liked Everlane as another side character too. But did I hate him as much as some other villains in other books? No. Her freakouts, yeah. I think one of the issues that I had for this book is that every time we encountered something bad or evil or like another misstep, there weren't really repercussions for them. It felt as though the stakes were made up. I know that sounds weird, but I never felt like anybody was at risk for dying. And I don't know why. Maybe the stakes were just not as dire or things were happening too fast. Because like the beginning was slow and then the end like just went boom, 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 boom. This is happening. Oh my God, what's going on? Malcolm, Madrid the most. Everlane, yeah. Wendy! Danya, annoying. Madra, secondhand guy, yeah. That guy that, I can't remember his name, but the one that stabbed Theris in the beginning. Yeah. might lose Everlane. We were getting so close to the... So here's the thing, and I think this was part of it too. Had I read this last year, not knowing if there was going to be a sequel or not, I might have been more anxious, but like knowing that Brimstone was coming out, whatever was going to happen to Everlane, I thought would have been tackled in the next book. So it just didn't seem like a concrete ending to her character, something that I would have hooked myself on. Perrin, yup. The stakes were never really fleshed out. Like, what were the consequences for anything? Yeah. The transition from Sarah's just in the forge to suddenly on the battlefield, right? That's sometimes the issue that you get with romantasy novels or fantasy. Fourth Wing had this issue too, and you know how much I love Fourth Wing. But because you love something doesn't mean that you can't critique it. In some of the books, it's almost whiplash because you're going from X, Y, and Z, and the novel will be like 7 days passed and, you know, the next 3 days were blah, 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 blah. But you need to do so in a way that is fully fleshed out because sometimes it still feels very jarring to go from this setting with this action going on to this setting with this action going on. And Quicksilver, to me, didn't do a great job at that. Very intense, but gives some insight to their dynamics. Yeah. Totally Blue Bell. And that's the thing, too. This was a girthy book. To me, there were certain sections that I feel like... How do I say this? Okay. I'm going to try and be very specific. It was a big book, and I feel like either it could have been condensed or we needed more. I'm right there with you. Because there were certain parts where I was like, nothing's happening. This is boring. To, why was this added in here? To, oh my God, I really like what's going on here. Give me more of this. Oh, we changed it now. Yeah, the immersive read was phenomenal. Phenomenal. How much did you know about this book before picking it up? What surprised you the most? For me, I found it on Book Talk, on TikTok. It started to make its ways through TikTok when it came out, and everybody was talking about it being like the next big romantasy, and I was really interested because TikTok was the reason that I read ACOTAR. TikTok was the reason I read Fourth Wing, Serpent in the Wings of Night, When the Moon Hatched, which I didn't love. It's probably like my least favorite on my romantasy listing. So I was like, yeah, let me try this out. And I soft DNF'd it the first time. It just did not hook me. So when all my friends were excited about Brimstone coming out, I was like, okay, everybody loves this. Let me give it another try. And I did enjoy it. I'm really glad that I repicked it back up. Sometimes you cannot like a book, and it's just because of where you're at mentally for said book. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a full DNF. You're never going to read it again. So I'm really glad that I picked it back up. I just knew that y'all liked it. I know, Kingfisher. Book Talk too. 0% other than Moon saying it was good. Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool. So we really did influence this time. I feel like yes, but I will also feel that way about TikTok in general. I love getting recommendations from TikTok, but I also think that similar to booktube, you ultimately just have to figure out if a book is good or not for you. Sometimes I think in terms of views in the book social medias, if a book is getting popular, then like another creator is going to hop on it because it's going to get them views. It's like what people are talking about. But you can also make that argument about like a lot of different book series too. So I like getting recommendations from there, but I try not to listen to people's true feelings about it. Unless they're like, oh my God, never read this book. This book is terrible. I didn't finish the series, blah, blah, blah. I tend to stay away from those ones. But at the very least, I'm glad that they get added on my TBR. I felt a bit let down by the book because I thought it was going to be different, but that's a you problem. Were you looking more for like an epic fantasy? Were you looking for more like world building? Stalker romances, and I've learned those types of books are not for you. Oh, totally. I definitely have my stalker romance phase. I feel like I'm into more like straight up romances again. I've been enjoying more thrillers and stuff lately. You know, we all like our favorite genres and subgenres. And you know what? I applaud you, Moon, for giving it a try and knowing it's not for you. The alchemy could be so interesting. Yeah, that was definitely something that I haven't really seen a lot, which was really, really neat. Was there any part of the plot or aspects of the characters that frustrated or upset you? If so, why? I mean, I feel like I already talked about this at the end, where we had that big reveal that Kingfisher and Ceres were basically fated mates, and the gods knew this was happening, and they were trying to prevent it because of like it being disastrous to the world and blah, blah, blah. And like, I guess that kind of irritated me because it was undue suffering, like not warranted suffering, number one. Number two, they were like, hey, we're going to have hands off now. Well, maybe you should have had hands off in the beginning, because some of the stuff that y'all did and y'all let happen, like, made so many different societies suffer too. So, like when you really think about it, I don't know if I love that as a plot point. And then they're like, okay, bye. I don't know. I felt like that was weird. But that was more like a frustration. I don't know. What about y'all? I recently read Lights Out and it was not for you. That's so fair. Like, if I hadn't read Fourth Wing with y'all last year, I probably would not have read ACOTAR Quicksilver. Yeah, totally. And that's kind of it for me, too. Had I not attempted to read ACOTAR and DNF'd it, I don't know if I would have gotten onto that area of book talk that recommended Fourth Wing, and then the rest is history, you know? The lore of some of the characters, the only thing that bothered you, could have just done with that a tiny bit more for you. Gotcha, okay. A little bit more. More of Ceres' skill building, either fighting or forging. She enters the story the best to ever do it, and I find that a bit boring. Yes! We get more exposition about, like, what happened to her mom and how she lives in the district and the world building of the district. But basically, like, oh, yeah, this guy that, like, was basically in love with her mom took her in, and he was basically, you know, a father to her. Okay. That's it. I would have loved to have seen flashbacks or something. I'm with you. She already starts out up here, but we don't get to see it. And for me, I don't know if that's always believable. And I want to be clear here. I'm not saying, I want to be careful about how I say this. I love strong female characters. And in romantasy, we tend to see that in different manners. But I feel like it's acceptable to have the male set up like that. And then when it gets to the female main characters, it's, oh yeah, well, they have all these skills already. And I just want more. Not even from them. I want more from all of the characters. Give me better character building for them. Silver, hi! More about Elroy. Yeah! Ezzy, hi! Emotional turmoil. I want to feel a wide variety of emotions when I read this, and this one was good, but vanilla to me. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just evaporated. Right! And, like, she kept talking about wanting to get back to her brother, but we only had such a small interaction with him in the beginning. I don't know. Some parts were just weird for me. 10% of Saris's power. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Majestic. And we did. We had a little bit of it all, but it wasn't anything that was mind-blowing to me. Speaking of, I got a couple more specific questions for you. I just have one. I want to talk about this because I do think it is the driving factor of the book. I think it is the best factor of the book, and part of the reason why Quicksilver blew up so much. The enemies to lovers relationship between Saris and Fisher forms the emotional core of the novel. How did you feel about their relationship development? If you've read Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses, how does the romantic dynamic in Quicksilver compare to Feyre and Rhysand's relationship? I enjoyed it. Do I enjoy it as much as Feyre and Rhysand? No. But also, to be fair, where Feyre and Rhysand got to was literally like at least 2 books long, comparative to 1 book long. I like Kingfisher a lot. I like the big reveal. Obviously, there's a big connection. Obviously, there's the fated mate stuff. I liked it. I didn't love it. Something was missing for me. I did feel like, though, I will say, compared to the other books I've read, this felt more enemies to lovers than some of the other ones. Like, Fisher really was a jerk. Was like, and I enjoyed that. Like, yes, give me the drama. But also, they're already together by the end. You could argue they were already together by the middle. And similar to some other books, like, man, if this is a series and it's enemies to lovers, I want to start seeing where, similar to ACOTAR, where it's like, oh, okay, they're not together until the 2nd or 3rd book. So that kind of makes me fall off. I really love the yearning, the will they, won't they, the quips to each other. So, what about y'all? No, Majestic, you're so fine. And he was just acting out always. Right! Does that mean her brother does too? Maybe we'll see that in Brimstone? But there's also so many things with it. How do we know that they're actually blood related? If they are, does he have that too? Maybe a different father? Like, where's that gonna go? It'll be interesting, right? I feel like the romance genre doesn't deliver the emotional experiences I find in other romances. So fair, and I feel that way too. The biggest one that I had emotional connection to was Serpent in the Wings of Night. But also, her writing is just eons above even any of my favorites. So if you haven't read Serpent in the Wings of Night, it is a duology. It is fantastic. It is an extended series if you want to read them in the same universe. Did not love the connecting book, but it's still worth it to read the first one. Yeah, true hatred. Consented multiple times, yes. Yeah, the slow build up with Rhysand and the trauma bond was so satisfying. Yeah, totally, Lauren. They had a real reason to hate each other. How do you compare this romance to From Blood and Ash? It's a little difficult to explain because the central romance, if I talk about it, it's a spoiler. But it's different, and similar to A Court of Thorns and Roses is something that traverses the span of several books to really get full-fledged. So, not comparable. Not comparable, not the same caliber. Yeah, KW, there was still some insta-love, right? Yeah. A reason for him that's revealed later? Yeah. Are you KW? Yes. Yeah, Serpent in the Wings of Night. So let me go through right now I have nothing else, by the way. So if y'all want to bring up anything, feel free to plop it in the chat. But if y'all are looking for romantasy recommendations, let me tell you some of my favorites that are definitely worth your time and I love. Now, caveat here is some of these are series and it does fall off, but I still think it's warranted and worth it for you to at least read the first book, okay? Starting at the top, Fourth Wing. If you haven't read it yet, what are you doing? I love it. It's fast-paced. It's fun. Serpent in the Wings of Night. I still need to read some of the other interconnected ones, but they're on my list. From Blood and Ash, I can tell you this right now. It is a longer series. I think there's like 6 or 7 books in that series, and then there's a prequel series. I've heard the prequel series is actually better, and there's like 4 or 5 books in the prequel series. So if you're the type of person that reads Sarah J. Maas and all of her books, From Blood and Ash is kind of similar. You really got to dedicate time to it. I am only like 25% of the way there. I would still read it. Let me go through my Goodreads to see if I have other ones listed. Those are the ones off the top of my head. I've definitely read other ones, but they were just okay. Like, we read When the Moon Hatched, which was supposed to be the next hot romantasy. We ended up reading that for book club. It was just okay. It was just okay. For whatever reason, I'm signed out of my Goodreads account and I can't remember my password there. Let me check on my phone. Shell Babble High! I love it so much. I only started reading it a year or two ago. Like, stuff had already been out for a while. And again, it was thanks to Book Talk. Where's my favorites? There we go. 37 books. Oh! I had this on here. The games gods play. If you like games-based romantasies, so say you've read Serpent in the Wings of Night, that's a games-based romantasy. The Hunger Games, you'll like the games gods play. Another one, which is good, but just so you know going into it, it's more spice-based. It's called Phantasma, another games-based romantasy. Another one that's a little bit more spice-based, it is a duology. It's called Feathers So Vicious, aka Court of Ravens. And then another one, A Court of Sugar and Spice, which you can find on Kindle Unlimited. It's retelling, so there was like a Sugar Plum Fairy retelling, like Nutcracker-esque. There is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, Wizard of Oz retelling within the 3 or 4 books. They were pretty good. They were pretty good. And I think that's all I got for the romantasies. Yeah, that's all I got. No worries, Bluebell. You got a third in and stopped? Which one? Yeah, oh my God, share the quotes. I was wrong, you know, you're a good thief. What have I stolen? But he smiled a small, sad smile, slowly shaking his head. Sleep a little. The water will stay warm. I'll be back soon as soon as I've spoken to Ren. I love that. Let me share the quote that I had. I only did one quote, but I loved it. All right. Quicksilver. Annotations. So this was in chapter 23. And this is Kingfisher talking about Ceres. Because she is moonlight, the mist that shrouds the mountains, the bite of electricity in the air before a storm, the smoke that rolls across a battlefield before the killing starts. You have no idea what she is, what she could be. You should call her Majesty. Oh, I love that line. I love that line. I liked a lot of the other lines he said too, but chat, I can't share those. Phantasma was fun. I didn't read the sequel yet. Oh, I need to read Tusk Love. A Forbidden Alchemy. Oh, either way, I accept I accept friend requests on there. Ladies, so whatever you want. Either works for me, sweetheart. You want to read it. I got you. Sometimes it's hard when books are so highly recommended too that you feel the pressure to feel the same way. Yeah. The Nectar one earlier? Okay. You couldn't get into generic to you? Yeah, I'm with you there. It was just fine. It had a good premise, but it wasn't really fleshed out to me. And the characters were just like forgettable. Yeah. Mitchie, not yet. It's on my TBR, but I need to be in a big mood to read a 1,000-page book. And also the subject matter for me, I need to be in a good mental health space too. Because it is very it's very dark, you know. It's a very dark fantasy novel with aspects of romantasy and includes a lot of stuff from Handmaid's Tale in there. So not yet, but I've heard that people that have read it have really loved it. But I gotta prepare in advance for a book like that. Bluebell, welcome back. I found the Quicksilver talking. The song was such an interesting take. Yeah. And the song he sang to it. Yeah. Oh, taking, excuse me. Yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna keep it now. It's not something you can listen to every day, for sure. I also felt like they did that one thing to that one girl too fast. No, 100% agreed. Agreed. I could probably use a don't you fucking dare finish that sentence. I don't want a mouthful of soap and perfume. I know! Kicking my feet! Oh, Crescent City! And Alchemized. Very nice, very nice. Carrion Sword wanted jokes, right? I don't know, T. I'm seeing non-great stuff on TikTok, but also remember, I try and take that with a grain of salt. I'm looking forward to it. At the very least, I want more character lore, exposition, world building. I am optimistic with it. You thought Fourth Wing was the best so far. I don't think anything will take the place of Fourth Wing and how I felt getting to that end. Spoiler-free chat, please, in case we have folks near that haven't read it. But like that last page, I cannot remember a time before or since. I'm sitting on the couch with Kip. I audibly yelled and I threw the book down. That's how I want to feel when I read a book. Or I am like crying my eyes out, like with good spirits. And poor Kip that has to deal with me. I finish Good Spirits and Kip comes in because I'm howling and I'm trying to explain the book, but I have snot running down my face. I can't even get it out. And I was like, they loved each other. And he's like, of course. Yes, sweetheart. Oh, I know they did, baby. Anyway, if you're ever in a relationship or married or together or a friend of like somebody that reads a lot, you do the Lord's work. 100% agreed. Yeah, I think, man, the longer the series, the more off the rails it can be, or the worse some of the books are, because how can I give an example without ruining stuff? What I find is that the world building or the plots just like go from 0 to 100, or there's filler and it's just not fun. It gets boring. Oh, did you, Gabby? Yeah. I'm so excited to talk about Good Spirits next month, chat. ! Book Club in the chat. So we're going to be discussing Good Spirits right here behind me by BK Borison. Our on-stream discussion is December 19th, and I don't remember what day of the week it is. It is a Friday. I was trying very hard to avoid Christmas and New Year's.